What is going on, YouTube people, today? Sad times. Sad times. Pour one out for HGA, at least as it currently exists. This was posted on their webpage actually a couple of days ago, as of 7/15. I just stumbled across this. One of the a viewer commented on a video saying, "Hey, did you see the HGA stuff?" And I was like, "What?" And here I went and looked on their website, and here it sits. HGA is undergoing a complete restructure at this time. If you sent in a submission, it will be fulfilled and returned back to you in a timely fashion. No additional orders will be accepted. Please read the full update from the read full announcement below. We will pull that up here in just a second. We have been tracking the HGA numbers, and when I say we, I mean Gemrate, and he's been providing them to me for the last almost 9 months. We started back in September. You can see through the end of the year, they did okay. 3,500, 1,800, 2,000, 1,200, 1,000. But to start 2024, it really tailed off. You see 1,000 in January. We have 1,400 in February, 1,500 in March. So a decent start. But then April, 500, May, 800, June, 650. And it's not like, in the grand scheme of things, that 14 and 1,500 cards is a ton when you really think about it. Even if you assume 20 business days in a month, which is probably a little light, that's like 75 cards a day. That's 10 an hour for one person. That's not exactly that difficult to keep up with. And then, those numbers dwindled a whole lot quicker than that, all the way down to 650. Now, let's go ahead and pull up this full announcement. I'm not going to sit here and read this all to you. I'll leave this up on the screen as we just kind of talk. I'm going to kind of make my way through it a little bit, but I'm not going to read it word for word. You can go over to their website and pull it up if you want to, or pause the video and read through it really quickly. But they kind of do an interesting revisionist history on things. Back in 2021, HGA came onto the scene, and they came on when all the other grading companies, you got to remember, back in the peak of 2021, all the other grading companies were jammed, just jammed. PSA was backed up for months. Actually, depending on when HGA came out, PSA may not even have been opened outside of express orders. SGC got a massive backlog. Beckett, I still don't know that they've cleared their backlog from the peak pandemic. CGC barely existed at this point in time, if at all, depending on, I don't remember the exact timelines on when HGA spun up. But they came in as the flashy AI grader. We're using tech. We got cool custom labels. They used the 9.5 scale, which was a little sus. And then initially they did the whole, 30, their pitch was 30 days means 30 days. And initially, while they were ramping up, they did a decent job at sticking to that. If you remember, they did like Friday night drops. I remember that's how Sports Card Anonymous Dakota kind of really got his start, was doing live streams, sitting around waiting on the HGA drop. And it caused this buzz. The fact that you had to wait in line to get in made other people want to line up. It was like that old saying of, if people form a line, other people will just get in the line because they assume there must be something good at the end of the line. Like, people would just line up to line up. And it built this buzz and hype around it like it was this very exclusive, limited thing, and people were fighting for slots and all this stuff. But it also smartly helped them manage intake because they weren't getting completely overwhelmed. Now, somewhere along the lines, that got a little out of control. That was kind of one of the first dominoes to fall apart. All of a sudden, 30 days didn't mean 30 days anymore. And they started slowing down. And a lot of their loyalists got pissed because that was a big reason to use them. They were very adamant about that. The other thing where things started going sideways, and to me, this is where things really went off the rails. There was 2 key pivot points. People began to question the technology. Hey, are you actually using AI? What is going on here? And they put out those beautiful videos of showing behind the scenes at HGA. And they were epic disasters. They were absolutely terrible. And that gave them a bad look on that side of things, because then all of a sudden, everyone that was kind of saying, like, are you guys really using tech? Or are you just kind of making this up as you go along, was basically proven correct. The people that were like, no, AI grading is here to save us and HGA is the way, were kind of exposed as, wait, what's going on here? And then they had a really bad run of grading fakes. I think it was a fake Jordan. I know there was a fake Mahomes auto, and there was another high profile fake, all very close together to each other. So those kind of 3 things, they didn't all happen simultaneously, but that was kind of the beginning of the end, in my opinion, for them. The other thing that happened is they had their growing pains late. And then all this nonsense popped up late in the game, in the grading scheme of things. Because as they were beginning to have lots of issues, the other grading companies were beginning to come back online. PSA was clearing their backlogs, lowering prices, increasing turnaround times. SGC was doing the same thing. CGC was starting to make more of a push into the sports card world. Beckett, well, they were still being and still are being Beckett. So that hurt them as well. And then, there was never a lot of great comps for their cards. The market crashed, and you see where we have ended up today. Also during that, the company changed ownerships multiple times. The last group to buy them that currently owns them now, I remember when it was announced, I was like, wait, these people have zero background in collectibles and cards. I forget, I don't even remember what their actual primary thing was, but it had nothing to do with cards. And the prediction back then was, I have a feeling this is not going to end very well. And now here we sit. Now, they say the company is coming back. What that'll look like, who knows? I mean, they basically admit we had no idea what we were doing. Given what we have learned, we have decided to restructure our business model, change our website and ordering platform, and bring on an operating partner that understands this industry and has a passion for it. That makes me assume that they did not have an understanding of this industry, did not have a passion for it. This means we'll have to pause orders temporarily. They are finishing any cards that they have in the pipeline. And then here we get we will launch a model that focuses on those customers that appreciated our amazing custom labels, our quality cases. I don't know if they were that quality. And our consistent grading. I've seen some very questionable cards cracked out of HGA slabs. When we relaunch, our model will be simple, high quality, and really cater to the collector that appreciates high quality offered by HGA. And they say, we're not for everybody. There are plenty of options. There are plenty of fish in the sea, basically. So I don't know what all that means. I guess my question to you all, do we think, outside of what HGA already has in the pipeline, as in regards to cards sitting there, which probably isn't that many, does HGA actually return? Do we think this company comes back? Do they ever grade a card again under whatever this new shtick is that they're going to come up with? If I was them, I think my approach would be just to embrace the custom label and maybe not even put a numerical grade on the card. A lot of people have been saying that for years, that should be the path that they go down. They pissed off a lot of people when they got rid of subgrades, then they brought subgrades back. It's just been a whole mess over there for a while. And once again, as the big boys continue to expand and get cheaper in their pricing, it makes it less appealing of a case. Why would you use a small-time grading company? Why would you risk sending your cards to one of these smaller outfits when they could just say, hey, we're closing up shop. Now, it says they're going to complete the orders. I'm sure they probably will, but not all companies might do that. Cards are very transactional based, and a lot of people base what they do off of how much it's going to sell for, how much value. If I'm going to send my card to you and risk sending my card to you and spend, let's just call it $20 to grade a card, what is the value proposition for me as the collector, flipper, consumer, whatever you want to call it? What's the value proposition for me? Are you adding value to my collectible item after I send it off to you and have it encapsulated? And in HGA's case, in almost all cases, it was very little to none that they were adding to the card after it was in one of their slabs. So what's the point of using them at that point? If you really like their cases for your PC items, I guess that's all well and good. My counterpoint to that has always been, do you want to trust a company like this with your PC items? Now, unfortunately, I have been a harsh critic of Tag, and a lot of people have been. And honestly, HGA was probably the worst thing that could have ever happened for the hobby to mainstream accept Tag, because Tag came up with this, similar stuff. Hey, we're using tech. We aren't relying on human graders. We have a cool, nifty, innovative slab. Like, the sales pitch, if you just didn't look at anything, if you just kind of laid the companies out on paper, very macro level stuff. We're a new grading company. We have a fancy slab. We're using tech. We don't want human graders. We're using it. HGA will say they're not using AI. They're using automated or machine grading, whatever. At its surface value, or surface level, those two things sound very similar to each other. A ton of people got burned by HGA. I think that made Tag's entry that much more difficult. Now, Tag's obviously still around. They're doing really good numbers in TCG, not so much in sports. But there's been a lot of pushback on them from the get. And I have a feeling a lot of that hate comes from people saw what happened with HGA. I'll be curious if they ever come back. I wish no ill will. I don't want to see a company go out of business. I don't want to see people lose their jobs. But I will be very curious to see if they make a return or not. Is there enough people out there willing to use them to justify the business operating? I can't imagine they were turning a ton of profit on doing 500, 800, and 650 cards per month. That's one person can literally do it all. Shipping, receiving, customer service, and grade 600 cards in a month. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. What went wrong with HGA in your opinion? Where did it all fall apart? And do you see them making a return to the hobby at some point in time? As I've said all week, this has been one of the busiest news weeks we have had this year. Week before the National, and it has been absolutely crazy town. I have a Topps Chrome Jumbo Box video willing and ready to go. I'll probably put that up later today, but another double video day. And then I still do not think the Red Alert thumbnail is done for the week. I think it has at least one more appearance in it. I'm pretty sure of it. That's all I got. Catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.